Now, before we start this video, I just want to offer a bit of a warning because there's going to be some subject matter in here that might not be suitable for those who are vegan or vegetarian. Because after this trade, I regret to inform you that the Toronto Maple Leafs decor is 100% beef! The Toronto Maple Leafs acquire Brandon Carlo from the Boston Bruins in a big old deal right at the trade deadline. At the end of the day, I'm running on fumes. This is the sound of a guy running on fumes. Okay, we actually have two trades in here to talk about because the Leafs needed a little bit of cap space to get all this done. We don't have all the specifics yet, which is crazy because I'm shooting this at 6:26 p.m. The trade deadline was at 3 o'clock, and a lot of the particulars are either just coming in or still haven't come in yet. For example, the Brad Marchand trade to Florida, which... oh no! The Brad Marchand trade to Florida, that just came down the pipeline. But here's what happened. The Toronto Maple Leafs traded... they said, get rid of all the Conors. We don't need any Conors. We don't need a Conor with one N or two. And they got rid of one of each. Conor Timmons and Connor Dewar out the door to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a pick, apparently? I don't know why Kyle Dubas did that. I'm really glad he did. Listen, it's not about Connor Dewar being bad. He has not had a great Toronto Maple Leafs tenure. They primarily got him for penalty killing, but in 48 games, he had 1 goal. That's after he scored 10 with Minnesota last year. It seems impossible. Conor Timmons, I thought they were going to fire out of a cannon into the ocean, perhaps the sun. Or even just outer space would do. I thought they were going to do that at the beginning of the season. Then he played better than I thought. And then the more and more the season went, the more it became obvious that, this guy probably shouldn't be in your playoff lineup unless a lot of people are hurt. In which case, you might be doomed already. So the fact that the Leafs might have actually gotten an asset to get rid of both of those guys in a situation where they needed to get rid of both of those guys, that in itself is pretty useful, tidy work from Brad Treliving. I mean, it's not like he fleeced the Penguins. The Penguins get 2 guys that they obviously like. Conor Timmons, this is the second time he's been acquired by Kyle Dubas in his NHL career because I don't know if you know this. Maddie, do you know this? Kyle Dubas loves his guys. Now, he didn't trade for Connor Dewar, but he does get... Wait, let me check. Oh, the Everett Silvertips. Oh, I could have swore Connor Dewar played for the Sioux Greyhounds. It's okay. Is that like a farm team? It's not a farm team. That's crazy. Once that trade was done, the Leafs were able to move on to the bigger fish. And by bigger fish, I mean literally and not a fish. Brandon Carlo from the Boston Bruins, who people didn't even know was 100% gonna be available in this trade deadline for anybody, ends up going to a divisional rival, multiple years left on his contract, salary retained. Now, he did come at a cost. The Leafs give up a first-round pick for Brandon Carlo and prospect Fraser Minten, who had 2 goals and 2 assists in 15 games with the Leafs this season. A lot of people have been saying Fraser Minten probably tops out at a 3rd or 4th line forward. That's probably true, and that's not an insult. Might I remind you that the Leafs paid a first-round pick to get Scott Laughton, who's their new 3rd-line center. You kind of need 3rd-line centers. Now, because he's a Boston Bruin, watch Fraser Minten go ahead and friggin' become a Selke Trophy winner, haunting the Leafs forever. Fraser Minten was probably going to be the Leafs' full-time 3rd-line center next season. However, they got Scott Laughton, who is actually signed to next season at $1.5 million against the cap for the Leafs because the Flyers retained half of his contract. All of a sudden, you kick that can down the road, and if someone is asking for Fraser Minten, you do it. I mean, one of the victories of this trade deadline, the Leafs got a center that they really needed. They got a right-handed defender that they really needed, but they also find a way to get out of it with Easton Cowan and Ben Danford, which frankly I'm surprised by. They did end up losing Fraser Minten and Nikita Grabenkin. No more forecheck, backcheck, paycheck. But my goodness, Fraser Minten and a first-round pick for Brandon Carlo. Why Brandon Carlo? I said it before. I'll say it again, just in case you missed it the first time. Beef! Thank you to Williston Rylander for the fire tweet with the info. This is what the Leafs decor looks like right now. Morgan Riley, 6'1", 225 pounds. Beef! Jake McCabe, 6'1", 212 pounds. Beef! Chris Tanev, 6'3", 199 pounds. Eat a 1 pound sandwich. And then beef! OEL, 6'2", 192 pounds. Lovely. Brandon Carlo, 6'5", 220 pounds. Beef! Philippe Myers, 6'5", 219 pounds. Why are you 1 pound lighter? Beef! Simone Benoit, 6'4", 211 pounds. I'm going to say it until the neighbors hear it. Beef! Forget this year. Forget this playoff run. Forget this trade deadline. Morgan Riley, multiple years left on his deal. Jake McCabe just signed an extension. Chris Tanev, first year of his deal. OEL, first year of his deal. Brandon Carlo, multiple years left on his deal. Philippe Myers, he signed a contract extension that you forgot about. Simone Benoit, he's in the first of a 3-year deal. Dude, Marshall Rafai signed a contract extension that you forgot about. The Leafs decor is set. Now, why might the Leafs have gotten Brandon Carlo? It can't just be beef. It can't just be that he's 6'5", 220 pounds. Well, it is partly due to that. Why? Does he have an abundance of offense? No. Let's not mince words. He's not even in double-digit points this year, which, frankly, makes him a perfect fit for this decor. They don't do that either. None of them do it. Don't worry, you're fine. When the Leafs got Scott Laughton from the Philadelphia Flyers, they got the forward who has played the most penalty kill time for the Philadelphia Flyers this season. Lane Lambert, assistant coach of the Leafs, who runs the penalty kill, will be very happy about that. Brandon Carlo has played more than half an hour more on the penalty kill for the Boston Bruins this season than the next closest player, who, by the way, is multi-million dollar defenseman Nikita Zadorov. Carlo also leads the Boston Bruins in penalty kill time on ice per game, just behind Hampus Lindholm, but Hampus Lindholm has only played 17 games for the Bruins this season. Dude, the Leafs have a shutdown pair. It's Tanev and McCabe, and when Tanev is back healthy again, that is one of the best pairings in the entire NHL. They also kill a lot of penalties. Then you add to that Brandon Carlo, who is the killingest penalty killer of the Boston Bruins decor. Hey, when the Leafs won a round a couple years ago, who was Morgan Riley playing with? Oh, it was a big tough meanie who didn't score a whole lot of points and shoots right-handed. That was Luke Schenn. With Brandon Carlo, you get a player who is younger and bigger. My easy assumption is it's going to be Tanev with McCabe. It's going to be Riley with Carlo. Then the third pair gets kind of interesting. You could do Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the left, Philippe Myers on the right. You could do Simone Benoit on the left, Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the right. Could do Simone Benoit on the left and Philippe Myers on the right, but you're not scratching Oliver Ekman-Larsson. So my guess would be the third pair is OEL and Benoit. That's a decor you can go into the playoffs with, which a few days ago, actually a few hours ago, the Leafs did not have. And this is part of the reason why, if you're Brad Treliving, you don't mind giving up these assets. Laughton is signed to next year. $1.5 million against the cap. That's it. Carlo is actually 15% retained. This player is making $4.1 million against the cap. 15% takes that cap hit down $600,000 per year. So prorated for this year, next year, and the year after, Carlo is going to be making $3.5 million. In the offseason, when the Leafs have a look at their decor, who do you go out and get? Oh, that's right. Nobody. You don't need anybody. Your entire decor plus some is locked up for multiple years. Oh, okay. Well, goaltending's pretty important. So when the offseason comes, who do you go out and get? Oh, that's right. Joseph Woll's contract extension kicks in on July 1st, and Anthony Stolar still has another year left at $2.5 million. Hey, you know what? If you're feeling festive, you can go ahead and sign him to a contract extension on July 1st. Wouldn't that be funny? Austin Matthews. Oh, wait, no, he's locked up. William Nylander. Oh, no, that guy's going to be a Leaf forever. The Leafs' priorities this summer are very clear. Figure out Mitch Marner. Will you or won't you? Figure out John Tavares. Will you or won't you?
Give Matthew Nyes whatever he wants. I love him.
And that's a good position for a team to be in. Even though Mitch Marner is a pending unrestricted free agent and a star for this team, maybe even their MVP of this season, the cap is going up. You're a cap team. This is a 32-team league, and a lot of teams are going to be running around like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to find little bits and pieces of everything for their team. If you're the Leafs, Find guys up front. What's the most plentiful position available? The wing. Where can you save a lot of money in free agency? The wing. You have Matthews, you have Lawton, sign John Tavares to an extension, then all you have to do is worry about the wing. Here's what I'd be interested in. Here's what I have been hoping someone would do, and this guy would know. I would love Brandon Carlo, who's been a Boston Bruin for a very long time and beaten the Toronto Maple Leafs in several Stanley Cup playoff series. I would love for him to walk into that room and be like, hello, my name's Brandon. Nice to meet you. So anyway, here's why you guys lose all the time. I would like to think that a member of the Boston Bruins would have pretty intimate knowledge of what makes the Leafs good, but also pretty intimate knowledge of what they lack. The Leafs have gotten pushed around in playoff series before. That's not so much what happened last year. Even like poor defense, even that's not so much what happened last year. At the end of the day, they need goals. I don't know how much Scott Lawton helps with that, and I know Brandon Carlo doesn't really help with that. But you see the Leafs forming more and more to the identity that Craig Berube wants for them. They're going to be a difficult, grinding team to play against that with each passing day is getting harder and harder and harder to score against. They get saves. This D-core is the best iteration of the Toronto Maple Leafs D-core in like 20 years. What we got to do now is pray that the goals actually go in the playoffs. And holy crap, did winning the division just become so important. Tampa doesn't lose anymore. That's a bold strategy that they've tried, but it's working. And the Florida Panthers, who are without Matthew Tkachuk for the next little while, oh no, go out and get Seth Jones for their back end and Brad Marchand. Tampa is going to overtake both the Leafs and the Panthers. The Leafs are going to drop down to the 3rd seed. The Panthers will be the 2nd seed. They will play each other in the first round with a line of Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, and Brad Marchand. And I will turn into the friggin' Joker! But I'm ready. The Leafs are ready. Beef! Are you ready? Let me know what you think of how the Leafs did today, because honestly, after being really, really concerned up until about 1 o'clock this afternoon, I am so impressed with the job that Brad Treliving did. 2 really, really important players, both retained on. Carlo is 3.5 mil. Lawton is 1.5. $5 million total. One of them for next year, the other for 2 more years. When a lot of teams out there are paying that for rentals, like Florida with Brad, I thought Brad Treliving had a very good deadline. But what do you think? Leave a comment in the comment box down below. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. SDPN, baby. It's the place to be for trade deadline coverage. There's 2 trade deadline videos on this YouTube channel. Buddy, if you want to know what we had to say about everything else that happened today, head on over to SDPN. There is, Maddie, what was there? 2, 3 videos? It's like 20. There's like 20.